On March 11, 2025, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi issued a stark warning to the world. He cautioned against the dangers of jungle law in international relations. This was not merely a diplomatic statement, it was a clear and urgent message about the state of global affairs. Wang Yi's warning came against a backdrop of rising tensions and uncertainty. The global order, already strained, seemed to be fraying at the seams. Trade wars were escalating, conflicts were simmering. There was a sense that the rules and norms that had governed international relations for decades were being eroded. Wang Yi's warning was a call to action. He urged nations to step back from the brink and choose cooperation over confrontation. He reminded the world that the alternative, a descent into jungle law, would benefit no one. Jungle law is a term used to describe a state of anarchy in international relations. It is a world where might makes right and where the strong prey on the weak. In such a world, there is no respect for international law, no regard for sovereignty, and no room for diplomacy. History is replete with examples of jungle law in action. From the Peloponnesian War to the Second World War, the consequences of such a system are all too clear. It is a world of endless conflict, instability, and suffering. Wang Yi's use of the term jungle law was not accidental. It was a deliberate choice of words meant to evoke the dangers of a world without rules or order. It was a warning that the world must not allow itself to slip back into such a dangerous and unstable state. Wang Yi's warning came at a time of heightened global tensions. His words echoed through the corridors of power, resonating with leaders and diplomats around the world. The relationship between the United States and China, the world's two largest economies, remained deeply strained. Years of competition and mistrust had built up, creating a complex web of economic and political challenges. A renewed trade war, initiated by the former U.S. administration, had escalated, with both sides imposing tit-for-tat tariffs. This economic conflict disrupted global supply chains and affected markets worldwide. This trade war was not just about economics. It was a symptom of a deeper rivalry between the two superpowers. The competition extended into technology, military influence, and global leadership. The conflict in Ukraine continued to rage, exacerbating geopolitical tensions. The war had drawn in various international actors, each with their own interests and stakes in the outcome. The war had created a humanitarian crisis, displaced millions, and further strained relations between Russia and the West. The international community struggled to provide adequate support and find a path to peace. China, while advocating for peace talks, found itself in a delicate position, seeking to balance its relationship with Russia with its desire to maintain stability on the world stage. This balancing act was crucial for China's long-term strategic interests. Beyond these immediate crises, there was a broader sense of unease about the future of the global order. The shifting alliances and emerging conflicts signaled a period of uncertainty and potential realignment. The COVID-19 pandemic had exposed the fragility of international cooperation. Nations struggled to coordinate their responses, revealing deep-seated vulnerabilities in global health systems and governance. The rise of nationalism and populism in many countries threatened to undermine the multilateral institutions that had underpinned global stability for decades. This trend posed a significant challenge to the established international order, raising questions about the future of global governance. Section 4. The Foundation of Global Order. In his speech, Wang Yi emphasized the importance of a rules-based international order, highlighting that such an order is crucial for fostering global cooperation and mutual respect among nations. He argued that international law and diplomacy are essential for maintaining peace and stability in the world. Without these pillars, the global community would struggle to address conflicts and crises effectively. He called on all nations to uphold their international commitments and to resolve their disputes through dialogue and negotiation. This, he said, is the only way to ensure long-term peace and prevent the escalation of conflicts. Wang Yi stressed that a rules-based order does not mean a world without competition. On the contrary, competition is a natural and healthy aspect of international relations. Rather, it means that competition should take place within an agreed-upon framework of rules and norms. This ensures that all parties play fair, and that the competition leads to positive outcomes. This framework, he argued, is essential for ensuring that competition remains peaceful and productive, rather than descending into conflict and chaos. It provides a level playing field where all nations can thrive. He pointed to the United Nations as a cornerstone of this rules-based order. The UN, with its diverse membership, represents the collective will of the international community. He reaffirmed China's commitment to the UN Charter and its principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and non-interference in the internal affairs of other states. These principles, he noted, are fundamental to maintaining global harmony. He argued that the UN, despite its imperfections, remains the most important forum for international cooperation and dialogue. It is through the UN that nations can come together to address global challenges and work towards a more peaceful and just world. Section 5. China's call for stability. China, Wang Yi emphasized, is a staunch defender of global stability and a champion of multilateralism. He underscored the importance of maintaining peace and security in a rapidly changing world, where new challenges and threats are constantly emerging. He highlighted China's growing role in international affairs, pointing to its participation in UN peacekeeping missions, where Chinese troops have been actively involved in maintaining peace and security in conflict zones around the world. Wang Yi also emphasized China's efforts to address climate change, showcasing the country's investments in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. Additionally, he mentioned the Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to promote free trade and economic cooperation across Asia, Europe, and beyond. Wang Yi contrasted China's approach to international relations with what he characterized as the unilateralism and protectionism of the previous U.S. administration. He argued that China's strategy is based on mutual respect and win-win cooperation, rather than confrontation and competition. He argued that China's rise is not a threat to the world, but rather an opportunity for greater cooperation and shared prosperity. He pointed to numerous international trade agreements and cooperative projects that have benefited multiple countries. He called on the United States to abandon its Cold War mentality and to work with China to address common challenges. Wang Yi stressed that a collaborative approach is essential for the future stability and prosperity of both nations. He stressed that cooperation between the two countries is essential for tackling global issues such as climate change, pandemics, and terrorism. By working together, he believes that China and the United States can lead the world towards a more stable and prosperous future. Section 6. Choosing cooperation over chaos. Wang Yi's warning about jungle law was a sobering reminder of the stakes in today's complex and interconnected world. It was a call for all nations to choose cooperation over confrontation, dialogue over division, and a rules-based order over the law of the jungle. The world stands at a crossroads. The path of jungle law leads only to conflict, instability, and suffering. The alternative is a world where nations work together to address common challenges, uphold international law, and build a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. The choice is clear. The time for action is now. The world must heed Wang Yi's warning and choose the path of cooperation over chaos.